Ladies and gentlemen, it's David, Philippine American couple, and guess what? I just got off the live stream because Typhoon Ria hit hard here in Cebu City. So we're on Mactan Island, and you're going to see Lorelai's going to talk a little bit about her preparation here in a minute. But let me tell you, when it hit, it blew transformers, the winds. I don't know, there must be sheet metal flying everywhere all over the neighborhood because I can hear it.
And the whistle.
The whistling of the wind through the trees and the palms. It is majorly hit. Now, our power's out. I have no clue when it's coming back on. It will more than likely be a week. It could be longer in the Philippines. We just don't know. There's Lorelai. Tell them about your fancy light, Lorelai.
It's under observation. It's a dual. This is a lamp and there's a... Hold on, it will stop for a second to be a flashlight. There you go.
Look at that. Lorelai's very proud of her lamp light thing.
And we have a flashlight too with
And
infrared.
if you saw the video that she did the other day about we've stocked up on water and food. Now the bummer is we have no electricity. So if it gets really, really hot in the next couple of days, it's going to be torture. And then of course we got to worry about the food in the refrigerators, and we'll be eating that up first and foremost. But we're going to make the best of it. We're hoping they get the power back on soon. We have plenty of fresh, clean drinking water and potable water. So I think we're in good shape there. The dogs are safe. We're safe. It's typhoon season.
Oh, there's an update. It's 6:47 p.m. here in the Philippines. We just our electricity just got off like 3 minutes ago. Then this is our lamp that we can carry everywhere, and see, it can be a flashlight too. Oops, that one. See, so that will be a lamp and a flashlight. And I already all everything. And so when it's electricity cut off, if you don't have a generator, quit opening or minimize opening the refrigerator. Or you can make a little bit ice, like in the plastic bag, the tiny one, so that you can store there to get some more ice and make it help her cooler longer. And I stock already lots of water, so we're good for now. Here's a light. See, it really windy blew. Oh, girls, come here, girls. Go get in. Go get in. See.
and welcome to day 3 post Super Typhoon. So this is our 3rd day after the typhoon, guys, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what we're going through. You know, Cebu, Bohol, lots of other places here in the Philippines got absolutely hammered by the Super Typhoon. Now, so let me tell you a little bit about how it felt when the Super Typhoon slammed into the island. You know, have you ever been riding in a car and somebody hits that brake really hard and you get slammed forward? That's the way it felt. It really and truly felt like the hurricane moved the island. And right at that impact, everything went dark. The explosions happened. We had transformers going off, pop, 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 and like bombs in the air. It was absolutely crazy. Everything went dark, and then we spent the next 6 hours, Lorelai and I, listening and feeling the torrential rains that came, the winds, the noise from the winds, and then the winds doing all the damage, trees snapping, roofs being peeled off, these houses. Now, so I'm going to be able to tell you absolutely without a doubt that if these houses that we're in, these little round houses, were not made of a hollow block, they wouldn't be standing here today. As it is, we could feel these things moving. Our roof got ripped off of this one, and Lorelai spent hours literally dealing with the flooding coming through the roof, trying to get the water down drains. So it was actually chaotic as can be. But here's something interesting about humankind, the duality of humankind. So we get up and we get out, I go out in the neighborhood a little bit, and it's devastated. There's dead tree or broken trees everywhere, and power lines are down everywhere. There's people's belongings everywhere. It's just absolutely crazy. But what was really nice to see was neighbor helping neighbor to pick up the debris, to remove the trash from their property, to deal with the bent structures, the tin. You know, it's like, you can just look at this house across from us here. You know, they had folks coming over to help them repair the damage so that they can actually keep the water from coming in their house. So, on one side of it, it was amazing seeing everybody help everybody. And then, here, let me explain this to you. So this is a traditional 5-gallon jug of water. Now here locally, we have no water and no electricity. We've been out it since the storm hit, and we don't have any, and it doesn't look like we're going to be getting any for another 3 to 5 days. We're not going to be getting electricity and water again for another 3 to 5 days if we're lucky. So what people have been doing is there's apparently a deep freshwater well not very far from the neighborhood. So people have been going out and getting fresh water. But here's the kicker, and here's the bad side of things. Before the Super Typhoon, if you wanted to go get some well water, this would have cost you 20 pesos.
Mineral.
Now, this is going to cost you 200 pesos. So we have definitely price gouging going on. Locals are price gouging locals. Happens everywhere, but it is definitely happening in the Philippines. Food prices are skyrocketing. The roads are closed. There's power lines everywhere. Only motorcycles can get around if they're lucky and safe. Supposedly, the government workers, the highway workers, are working around the clock to get things in better shape. But we haven't heard anything about anything here in Cebu. So we get the feeling it's going to be a very, very long time before we hear. Now, I'll tell you that at my age and at my health, I actually never thought that I would be sleeping on a 3.5 to 4 inch foam mattress on a concrete slab in the living room of this little house by the windows because it's so freaking hot. Because after the storm, the winds died down, the sun has come out, and the temperature has skyrocketed. And of course, without electricity, we have no fans, no air con, and there's no air movement. It is really rough. So we are now dealing with all of that, but the mosquitoes are starting to emerge because of the low-lying flooding. So we're dealing with the mosquitoes now. Of course, we're going to have sewer issues. Trash pickup hasn't ran because, so we're going to have issues with the public trash because obviously the trash trucks can't get here to pick up the trash. So we're going to definitely be over, and we're not the only ones. We're talking about millions of people here in the Philippines that are going to be going through the same thing. You know, strangely, we had somebody we know show up at our house yesterday, the day after, the morning after the hurricane, right? And I thought, oh great, somebody's coming to check on us, you know, because we're new here, right? And to check on us, to see how we were doing. And turned out to be they wanted us to loan them money or to give them money because they had damage on their house. Not understanding that, one, we don't keep money, but two, the electricity's down. There's no ATM machines anywhere. So how can you get any money? So people getting the money is going to be tough. They got money in the banks. So it's a sad situation. It is going to get better. But for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be extremely difficult for people in the Philippines. Extremely difficult.
Grocery. Some groceries are open, and there's a wet market are only open.
So when it comes to food, we've been told that there's a few grocery stores open. Now, we don't know how they're running, if they don't have electricity, or maybe they're just doing a cash store. You also have mom and stores, and we had a bunch of them wiped out over here. Those are the ones that, you know, the ones that got wiped out. They're the ones that are also making a huge profit off of bananas and oranges and apples that they had in stock. For us, luckily, we pre-stocked up on canned goods. So now we're definitely eating our refrigerator, and it's about done because our refrigerator is no longer cold at all. But it's going to be a hard way to go. Hopefully they'll get up and running some wet markets, again, for the local people. But once again, to get to the store or to the wet market, you got to be able to literally get there. Taxis aren't running. Cars can't make it. So you got to take motorcycles. All right, guys, that's it for today's update. Just keep everybody in mind, and we'll see you. All right, so here's our day 4 post-landing update. Now, it is Sunday. We are approximately 10 in the morning. It is already brutally hot, no breeze again. Now, let me get you up to speed on some things. We have, of course, no power, no water, no cell service anywhere on the island. So we, as a community in Cebu, are dead in the water. So even if we wanted to go somewhere, here's the frustrating thing about some of this. Back in the States, so one of the frustrating things about our situation here is, back in the States, when we'd get a hurricane there, you can evacuate. You know, the sad thing is here we cannot. One, we have no phone to call anybody to get anywhere. Two, Cebu's an island. All the planes are grounded, the ferries are grounded. There's no transportation in or out of Cebu. Now, we do have a radio, and we've been listening to the news a little bit, and here's some of the frustrating things. Apparently Mindanao, where the president is from, is getting fixed, and they're pretty much good to go. Hey, great for them. But apparently Cebu, the island of Cebu, and Mactan Island are pro-opposition party of the current president. So they haven't even bothered to assess what needs to be done on Cebu, where there's millions of people sitting in darkness, without water, without power, without cell phones, without sewer, without trash pickup. Haven't even started to assess it, they said last night on the news. So they're hoping that they might get around to starting to assess where we're at today or tomorrow. and putting a plan together then to get the electric and water back on. They are talking a whole lot about what they're going to do in the future. And of course, me being me, my thought is, I don't really care what you're going to do in the future. I like to know what you're going to do today to make it better. So it is quite frustrating if you can't tell. It definitely, whoever said it's more fun in the Philippines hasn't, whoever said it was more fun in the Philippines definitely is not here. That's for sure. So let me see if I can at least find a couple positive or funny things out of some of this. Well, here's one. Like I said, no electricity whatsoever. So at night, everybody's windows are open and there is dead silence at night. So, and you can hear everything. You can hear a mouse fart. It is so quiet here. So I can promise you that there's going to be a whole lot of hurricane babies in 9 months. Another good thing coming from it is maybe the neighbors are getting to know each other better. We've gotten to know everybody around us because in the cool of the evening, when it finally starts to drop 2 or 3 degrees, everybody comes and sits in the road because they have no TV, no cell phone to talk to each other. So maybe that's a good thing. But I'm trying, guys. I'm trying really hard to think of other good things. But that's all I got for today. That's all I got for today. Take care. All right, today is our day 5 update. So let's get you caught up. We still have no electricity, no cell phone, no water, no sewer, no trash, and you can start to smell it, if you know what I mean. So what we've been listening to on the news is apparently the government is still pissing around and fighting with each other. So apparently the president and the governor of Cebu finally met yesterday. So now I guess they're all going to go back and talk about it some more. And I kind of equate it to an analogy. You know, what we say is, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Well, here in the Philippines, they're going to do it differently. They're going to look at that elephant, they're going to study that elephant, they're going to think about that elephant, they're going to meet about the elephant, but until they can eat it all in one bite, they're not going to bother to even try. And that's kind of where we're at with the utilities here. So now maybe there's an estimate of January, definitely not by Christmas in a few days. So that's a real problem. So that's the update on that. There's apparently about 250,000, that's right, 250,000 homes destroyed or damaged. There's 13 dead, about 30 missing, reported missing at this point. I think that's a lot less than Yolanda, but I think the storm damage is greater. So there are places like Dumaguete who finally got power, but it just blows my mind. You have the second largest population in the country who may not get power for weeks. The second largest population. I don't know. I don't get it. All right, so let's see. There are a bunch of little sorry stores open, so you can go and get some fruits and vegetables. There is, we've been told, one of the grocery stores that open, it's probably cash and carry. There's probably no cold items there because they're probably operating on basic generator. Now, the other thing that we've been told that is up and running is what they're calling charging stations or generators. So they've been able to put generators throughout the communities to where if you want to go charge your phone, you can go and charge your phone. That's a really good thing, except for there is no cell phone service. So, yay, let's focus on that. But, you know, if you want to charge something, you can charge it for free, I guess. So that's a really good thing. let me segue into this. Now, there are some ATM machines up and running. First, before I get to ATM machines, let me talk about gas stations. There's been a report that there's gas shortages. And from what we understand from them, there's really not any gas shortages. The shortage was gas station employees. Because under the law, they say that each gas station has to have its own independent generator so it can pump fuel in the case of emergency. The problem was the employees weren't going to work because their houses got destroyed, which you could blame them. That led to long lines and price gouging. So, thinking of price gouging, they finally did come out, the government, and say, price gouging's bad. If you do it, you're going to be in trouble. So good news for us. No more price gouging. Back to ATM machines. Okay, so back to ATM machines. Apparently, some of the ATM machines are up and running off of generators. But herein lies the problems. You know, everybody's trying to get cash because for the first few days, they were spending all the cash they had to get the overpriced water, to pay 5 times for a banana. So they burned through their cash really quick. So now they're trying to get ATM money, but the ATMs are limited. You got to remember, there's not an infinite amount of money inside an ATM machine. It may be running off a generator, but once it's out of money, it's out of money. So what we've already kind of heard is rumblings, and we've heard people upset because they can't get any money out of the ATM machines. They're out of money. So what's going to happen? Today's day 5 only. What happens at day 10 when there is no more being able to get cash for a lot of these folks? Are they going to start stealing from their neighbors? Lord of the Flies type mentality, you know? If the government doesn't get on the stick and do something, yeah, it could be that. But that's about it, guys, for today. Alright, guys, today's day 6. Another update. Well, the simplest way to put it is same shit, different day. Nothing's changed. Now, we did hear on the news just a little bit ago that the death toll has risen from about 13 to over 300. So that's a horrible. They are saying that this storm may turn out to be the worst one in history when it comes to property damage and life taken. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. There's a couple of interesting things that are developing out of this. So there's going to be obviously a housing shortage because there's a lot of houses, over 250,000 of them damaged or destroyed. So on one side of that, you look at it, you know, that's good for the economy. It will stimulate growth. The other side of it is, reality is the local people can't afford to do that, to rebuild their houses. So that's going to chew up and eat up their money, which is going to lead to more problems. But one of the reasons that we came out here was to purchase some rental property for Lorelei's future. And now, of course, I have to kind of wonder how all of this is going to affect that. You know, is it going to drive market prices up on these properties that are ready for sale? Because here's partly what's happening is, let's say you have a renter in a house and the house got damaged. Well, a lot of the landlords are saying, I'm not fixing it, you fix it or go away. Because the landlords don't have the money to fix the damage to the houses. But yet the tenant doesn't have the money to fix the damage to the house that they're renting. So it's going to become a vicious cycle about who pays for this. And down the road, you know, those landlords may get money from the government and the tenant gets screwed out of the money they've reinvested back into their rental property, even though. So I think it's going to be quite messy for people in general. But from our perspective of buying rental property, Maybe those sellers are going to try to jack their prices up now. I don't know. And then, of course, we're going to have to worry about damaged properties and how all of that goes. Because now, it's kind of like, back in the States, when we have all those floodings, we try to be very, very careful about the cars we choose because we got to make sure they weren't affected by a flood. Well, here, you got a lot of structural damage. So if you buy rental property, what kind of condition is it really in? So you're going to have to do your due diligence in making sure that it's in good shape. Now, one thing I want to tell you, and I know you guys won't see this because they're predicting that we still won't have power for maybe another week. So I know this video will be long past Christmas, and hopefully you guys haven't forgotten about the people of the Philippines by then. But here's something I want to encourage you to do. I want to encourage you not to donate money to the Philippine government. What I'm going to encourage you guys to do is find orphanages, find church groups, find people locally that you know and trust that 1 month from now, 2 months from now, you can send some funds to that will buy rice and food for people. Because here's what's going to happen. Right now, people are struggling. Right now, they're struggling. But in the next month or two, when they're paying their repair bills, when their wages are shortage because they miss so much work, they're going to need help in a month and 2 months out, not just a short term. So I always think about the downstream effect. And that's something that you guys have to help with this, with your loved ones here in the Philippines, is understanding there's going to be a 2, 3, 4 month downstream effect of this. So giving them a sack of rice today, well, that's great, appreciative, but you need to think about long term. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing some donations further down the road when people are in that real need after they've exhausted all their money fixing their rental houses, or their cars are damaged, or they've lost so much money from missing work because they can't go to work because their work is not there anymore, whatever it may be. So I'd encourage you guys to think of that. Thanks for joining me again. Today is our day 6 update. Still, we're at the place where we have no power, no water, no electric, all of that. Nothing's changed. But we did have some good things happen. Our neighbor, now, hey, remind me, a little bit later, I'm going to tell you more about my neighbor. But our neighbor was able to take us into Cebu City to SM Mall, which is about 10 miles through the disaster zone with heavy traffic and everything. And we were able to finally get somewhere where we had a little electricity and a little bit of internet, so that we were able to message home and tell them back in the States that we were actually alive. Because they hadn't heard from us since, before the typhoon landed. So I'm sure they were, with the death toll that's out here, they were, their minds spinning, just wondering if Lorelai and I were alive. So we didn't get much internet, but we were able to get enough to send out a few messages. So that was great. So yeah, my neighbor took us to the SM Mall, and I took a whole bunch of pictures to show you of what the damage is like, or like after 6 days. So after 6 days, here's pictures of the damage. Let me tell you about my neighbor. All right, so you guys know from the time that we've actually got to the Philippines that everybody has wanted to help us with their hands out. everybody's wanted money, from the foreigners, and that's just the way it is here. So everybody haven't ran into, everybody wants money from the foreigners. So we even had 2 visits during the right after the hurricane hit, of people coming by and wanting us to give them money. And it's kind of like, we have no power, no water, no electric, no nothing. Our house here took serious roof damage and we had a flood in it. But if there's no power, how can I go to an ATM machine and give you money? It just doesn't make sense. But, the foreigner must, I don't know, magically can make money. So that's been frustrating. And plus, anybody else who's wanted to help always expects money. So my neighbor, his wife and Lorelei, his wife and Lorelei made some fish the other night together. They walked up to one of the fresh markets and was able to get some fish at a higher price than normal, of course. And, they kind of became friends. And I mentioned to them, or Lorelei mentioned, I don't know who did when we were talking to them, that we hadn't had a chance to message home. And he volunteered to take us in his van through the disaster zone, through the power lines, through the people, the traffic, the congestion, over to the one spot that is up and running limitedly, which was the SF Mall. And I told him, I said, that's great, man. I really appreciate it, because I just got to reach out, and let people back home know that we're alive. And I said, man, how much do you want? He's like, no, I don't want anything, And I'm like, what do you mean you don't want anything? He's like, I don't want anything. And I got talking to him, and he's like, my faith tells me to do good and not to expect anything in return. My faith tells me, to help others no matter what. And he's like, plus I'm not doing anything, So, but here's what I want to say about my neighbor. For all of us, everybody in the world who may dislike or hate, which is a horrible word, the people of Muslim faith, I want to tell you that the only person that we've ran into on this since we've been here who doesn't want anything from us is a Muslim. Just saying. I know this island is full of Catholics and they've all had their hands out. Other Christian denominations, same thing. So the only person we've run into who doesn't want anything from us is a Muslim. So I think my message about that is I want everybody maybe to stop and realize that there is good in religions that we don't know or believe in or understand. So I just find that very, very interesting. So I wanted to share that with you. We've been trying last night when we got to the mall. One thing we did was we tried to search, for lodging, for hotels, and we know that they're booked up and they're running on generators, and a lot of them don't have internet anyway. So because living in these conditions is definitely wearing me down. My heart's acting up a little bit and all of that mess. And so we checked in with some hotels, still haven't found one. We're going to try again today. There's definitely nothing on Mactan Island that you can stay in that's worth staying in. So you got to go across the bridges and get over back into Cebu City somewhere, maybe Mount Dowie, they're saying has. But then, of course, limited space and the prices, So we're going to work on that some more. Seeing if we can find a place with internet, air conditioning. We've been taking bucket showers every day, but we have to ration our water. And a bucket shower, just doesn't quite do it. I can't wait, to have a real shower again. And, eating canned goods, which is fine. We've been doing that, sucking down. I got to say, thank God for Gatorade. If it wasn't for Gatorade, I'd be so dehydrated, it's unbelievable. So we're working on trying to find a hotel. We have our dogs as part of our problem. Now there are domestic flights leaving out of Mactan over to like Davao and Manila, but we can't get a hold of them because we have no phone service, we have no internet service, so we couldn't even book one out of here. And then the other concern we have is about the dogs. We will not leave the dogs behind, and a lot of those small planes they won't fly the dogs. So we went by the airport, my neighbor and us, we drove by the airport last night because I wanted to hear from somebody at the airport what's going on with international flights. Now, granted, we talked to a security guard because that's all we could find. And I asked him if the international terminal is going to be open anytime soon. And he said, oh yeah, very soon. And so my neighbor was like, well, how soon is very soon? A week, a month? And he said, yeah. So, I don't know when the international site is going to open up. And we could see that they were working there. And if the domestic side is up and running, I think the terminal suffered some damage at the international side. So, but they were working on that. So I'm hopeful that if we could find a hotel and rest, because we haven't been sleeping, it's too hot, too many mosquitoes, you just don't sleep during this type of event, that we could clean up, get some rest, figure out an escape plan. I'm ready to go back to the States and rest up and let the Philippines heal, and then look at coming back again. Lorelai wants to stick it out, maybe for her family, but it's a disaster zone here. There's no electric, no water, no sanitation. The malls are destroyed. Hotels are beat to death. The streets, they've been clearing the debris. And last night, when we come back from when we came back from SN Mall, they were burning so much of the brush out there, you would think the world was on fire. It's good to get rid of the mosquitoes, but it definitely will choke you to death if you have breathing issues. So, the streets are full of smoke because they're burning all the dead trees and broken down stuff. But there's literally power poles down everywhere. Jollibee is destroyed, and you name it. So I know she really wants to be here and stay here, and I'll support her in her effort if she wants to, but I'm trying to convince her not to come back with us. So, but I think that's about it for this one, and we'll let you know what happens. All right, so day 8 was pretty much the same old, same old. Hot, sweaty, nasty, gross, just day 8. Luckily, day 9 happened to be Christmas, by the way. We were able to find a hotel far into Cebu City that had a generator running, which they would shut down for 8 hours out of the day. So we were still lucky to get there. They had fresh water, or not drinkable water, but water, I guess. So we were able to take showers and rest. And now we found a little condo unit that has water and electricity. Still really hasn't got the internet restored. That's why you probably won't see this video for a while. But we don't have a long-term plan at this point. But hey, I thank you for watching the videos here, this video, and we appreciate you, and that's it.